This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. She is on a mission, a crusade to spread awareness about the different things that are going on within our minds. And those things are holding us back, whether we realize it. Maybe some of us do realize it, but we want to ignore it. She is a Reiki master, pastoral counselor, intuitive guide, interfaith minister, and so much more, and has provided so much insight in the times that we've gotten together. Today, we're going to kind of pick up where we left off last time in terms of addiction to suffering. And that sounds pretty heavy, but when you start digging into it and thinking about it and talking about it, you realize that many of us want to suffer. Maybe not by choice, but we're going to go back into that with Chris Clearday on the program. She's our professional of the year. How you doing today?
Fantastic. Lovely to be here with you.
Likewise.
And Kinder wanted to make a little appearance.
Aw, puppy.
Last week was his 10th consecutive month being tube fed. And he's kind of outlived everyone's expectations. And now we find out he's closer to 18 years old. And I don't know how long he's going to be around. So I just wanted him to be able to say hello.
He's just adorable. He really is.
Well, my true love. Anyway, yes.
And he knows he's loved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I know I've done it well. So it's going to be what it's going to be.
This is life. This is life. The addiction to suffering that we started last week, we started talking about identifying our primary addictions, what we have. Are we picking up from that point?
Yeah, let's pick up from there, because in episode 6, we talked about how to identify your own primary addiction to suffering. And maybe you come up with the secondary, the two greatest ways you can suffer at any given moment. And we also talked about how everything comes up to be healed. So how all of the thoughts and feelings and behaviors that you've had that are not in alignment with your true nature have been trying to get your attention for all of these years. And they start out tapping gently at your window. And if you don't heed the call, they will be pounding at your door. And for most of us, these things are pounding at our doors. There are things like anger, depression, worry, fear, anxiety. Oh gosh, the list is endless. And they are actually friendly little messages from your true nature, just trying to lead you back to yourself. So I figured it might be good to just redefine true nature, because when I talk about true nature, it is when the spark of life was bestowed upon you in the womb or in the test tube, wherever you were created, and you had all of your unique gifts and your special ways of being, but you had no wounding, no trauma, and you had no conditioning. So this was before you got molded by your family, no familial, cultural, or societal conditioning. And that's like the pure essence of who you were meant to be. And each of us has our true nature recorded within us: mind, body, spirit, heart, soul, cellular memory, DNA. We know who we are deep down within.
At this point, may I ask a question?
Of course.
Always wondered. So 2 babies are born, and they're a clean slate, in my estimation. Yes, they come from different cultural backgrounds, et cetera. Maybe even their parents speak different languages, but they don't speak anything yet. They were just born. They are what the universe, nature, whatever it is, intended them to be. Their unique gifts were imprinted. I think most of us would agree that we have a purpose in life. So the purpose was put in, maybe they're going to be a scientist. Maybe that one's going to be a doctor, whatever it is. They're here to create, learn, and teach. That's kind of my feeling. Okay.
Hmm.
Now life begins to happen. Now they're 6 months. Now they're a year old. Now they're 2, 3, 5, on and on and on. If they didn't go through anything in life, let's say they were in a bubble the entire time until they got to the age of 7, just saying, they were shielded from any kind of traumas, any kind of issues or whatever, would things be perfect? Would they be ready to do what they were brought here to do?
I don't think that things could ever be perfect under any circumstance. And so, and also I'd like to note that they were perfectly imperfect when they had the spark of life, but for a lot of babies, it's kind of downhill from there and they have trauma in the womb. So, you know,
Mm,
by the time lots of babies are born, there are already things that have happened that have
yeah.
changed, and they've picked up on the environment that they were growing in, the thought environment, the feeling environment. And I think those things change babies. And then I think that children are changed by all of the micro traumas, the little tiny things that people said or did to them,
Mm.
changed their own perception of themselves so that then they started reinforcing their a changed identity by their own thoughts and feelings and behaviors.
And those things could be baby in womb. Mom and dad had an argument.
They can
Baby, they sense
they
it.
can be anything. They can be that you're, pregnant checking out in the grocery store and somebody's being rude. I mean, and a mother feels that. Like it can be anything. Babies are sensitive and so are children.
Mm.
As children grow, especially by the time they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're already noticeably changing.
Why does it have to be that way? I know this is a very fundamental question, but why is life like that? Why, we
Yeah.
nothing's perfect, nobody's perfect. I get that. I totally understand it. But why do we deal with that? Why does life have to give us that?
I think I think that we're all here to grow and to overcome, and that life is inherently painful. And, the imperative is to be better or be bitter, you know, to make the best out of everything that happens. And we can always make the best out of everything that happens. I
We,
won't say that everything happens for a reason, but we can make the best out of it. I think that's our imperative.
hmm.
And I think that life can be a shit show, and yet we're just here to grow through it.
It, it's almost as if we're we're soft and not molded yet, and now we have to grow some back, to deal with finding resilience, finding hope, finding faith to move your life forward. Um, it's
And it really
amazing.
matters, Steve, it really matters how you grow that. So let's say you're trying to work through things, but if you're fueled by anger, that's not going to be good. If you're fueled by proving people wrong, that's not going to be good.
Mm.
If you're fueled by revenge, that's not good. So it really matters how we do things. And the collective patterning in a person, their thoughts that are leading to their feelings, and then the thoughts and feelings combined that are leading to their behaviors, are what really gives a person the life that they have. They're a collection of their thought, feeling, and behavior neural pathways. And it is imperative that we get conscious about these and where they come from so that we can begin to mold ourselves in the direction that is a positive. A lot of times I will ask myself, is something helpful or beneficial? So I'll have a thought and I will say, is that a beneficial thought? And I'll think about it. And a lot of times, no, it's not a beneficial thought. So erase and re-record in your world. So it
Mm.
would be stop, notice,
Rewind,
yeah,
Re-
cancel the
record over it.
exactly. Apologize to yourself
Mm.
and go again. And, with something that affirms your deservingness of the life that you do deserve. We all deserve. We all deserve to be loved, to have peace, to be happy, to be free, to be fed, clothed, the basic needs, but also to have the inner rewards. And
Mm.
that's what this work is about. It's about transforming what doesn't work into what does work. And science shows that you can reprogram or repattern a neural pathway like that. Epiphanies are great, but without epiphanies, you just keep plugging into the positive over and over and over. You will automatically disengage from the negative. So, neuroscience has known this for years, and changing is easy. And this, we're talking about healing trauma because all of those little things that people said or did to us are micro traumas, but they matter. And then the macro traumas on top, they matter and they change us too. And so the question is, how can we get back? So if we can identify our primary addictions to suffering, then we can begin changing those specific targeted neural pathways to thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Mm.
And we can begin to rewrite our story, and we will experience a different kind of world.
So we're starting here with addicted to suffering. And we started last week with that, and we're picking up. Let's go back and just identify why we do this. Why do we want to wallow in the negative? Why do we find comfort? I know we're creatures of habit, but why would we want to feel like crap? Like, what's going on?
I call it dysfunctional nostalgia. It's the hurts so good feeling that you got when you were a child. And, like when you were sulking or wallowing and maybe isolating yourself and feeling unloved, unimportant, unvaluable, whatever it was for you. And we anchor into those states over and over again. And then here's the whole point, Steve, is that these thoughts and feelings, feeling unloved, unwanted, um, thinking that you're not whatever enough, not smart enough, not wise enough, not beautiful or handsome enough, not strong enough, not in shape enough, not prosperous enough, not educated enough, whatever it is, okay? These kinds of thoughts and feelings are coming up our whole lives because they are trying to help us heal. They are not coming up to torment us. They're not coming up to tell us that we are, in fact, unlovable or unwanted. They are messages from our true nature. They are the opposite of what they appear to be. They are trying to help us out of themselves. So, unhappiness is trying to help you out of unhappiness. Anger is trying to help you out of anger. Sadness is trying to help you out of sadness. It's trying to tell you, hey, this is not who you are meant to be. That's why you're noticing it and it doesn't feel good. That's why I'm trying to help you see that you don't deserve to be sad or
Mm.
angry or miserable.
So it's showing up for a reason. I do believe and validate or not this. Did you say last time we got together that those negative memories come up because it's your mind, your subconscious, your body saying, I'm bringing that memory up for you when you were a kid and that happened to you because I'm telling you right now, you need to start healing from that. I'm here. I'm putting a red flag up here. Did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah, I've already shared that with many.
And we had, both of us were talking about things that happened in our childhood
Sure.
in episode 6. And it, and it does open the door, doesn't it? Like once you start thinking about those things, I'm sure you thought of even more things, as did I. And,
Hmm.
it all starts from there. But our true natures, our body, mind, spirit, it loves us so much and it wants to help us heal that it's always trying. So every time we have a negative thought, that's your true nature trying to help you.
Mm.
Like if I had a negative thought, like, okay, I have a list here. Okay. Thought about myself, like I'm not smart enough. Um, then I would I would catch that and I would be like, wait a minute. First of all, you posed the question, Katie Byron work, like, is that true? No, that's not true. Um, but do I deserve to feel that way? No, I don't deserve to feel that way. I deserve to feel like I can operate in the world and use my wits and accomplish whatever my goals are. And so, but the thought comes for me, like my mother used to call me stupid all the time, or enough that it really made a difference. And of course, I would feel like that sometimes. But every time I have the feeling, it comes up to be healed. And the more and more that we don't buy into the feelings, we just listen to them.
One thing I realized last time we got together is the evidence of these things. Because I started thinking to different scenarios and situations, especially the I'm not good enough, which is
Hmm.
pretty much in all of us. We've already
Yeah.
talked about. But when I started intentionally reflecting back on the dysfunctional nostalgia, the evidence was there. And it could be a parent. It could have been a situation with a classmate. It could be this. It could be, like the stack up, like holy blank. Like it was just like, oh, there's the other. Oh, you know what? That one also probably would make you feel that way. On and on and on and on and on. And this is before the age. This is not past the age of 7 or 8.
I know. I know I would suspect that there are 1,000 micro traumas by the time a child is 7 and probably 5,000 by the time they're 10, or maybe it's 1,000 by the time they're 5. I
Oh,
don't know, but
yikes.
there's a lot. And they change a child. And they change a child so gradually that I think that the parents don't even notice because it's
No.
happening on a very subtle level, day by day by day, ever so slowly.
And it might
And
not even be intentional from the parent, but it
oh yeah,
seems like you have this child, which is a perfect being, in relatively speaking, and now you have a parent saying things, again, not intentional, just even some of the goofy things we say to our kids, but it's a little chip that came off of them. A little
right,
chip, like picture the child being marble. Another piece came off. Another piece
right.
came off. Just a comment. Even that one morning where your 7-year-old daughter doesn't want to put a ribbon in her head. Now put a ribbon in your head. Your hair looks ridiculous. You gotta have a ribbon in your head. There's another one.
Yeah. And I believe that parents really do not want to wound their children. I
No,
mean, I
no.
believe parents want the best for their children. The problem is that this is all unconscious.
Mm,
We're doing these things unconsciously. That's why when if you fast forward and you see all these children that are grown up and in the workplace, it is bumper cars. Everybody's bumping into one another. And the dysfunction in a workplace is a reflection of the dysfunction in most families.
mm, Never thought
And
of that.
and it's all because these are unconscious drives. The drive to suffer is an unconscious drive. Dysfunctional nostalgia is unconscious. These are not things we're aware of.
Mm.
It's just so bringing awareness to this should make a difference in family and workplace dynamics. It could make a difference throughout the whole world just to bring focus to these things because they're at the core of what's not working in our world.
I want to go back to what you said a little while ago about the positive thoughts rewiring your brain. Is it as simple as you have a negative thought about yourself? Let's say I'm going to go very hypothetical here, but instead of like the true negative thought, as we're talking about, I'm not good enough. Let's say abandonment. Let's say there are reasons that you feel that way, whatever they may be. And let's say you had plans with a friend and the friend canceled. And your immediate thought was, oh, They don't want to hang out with me. I'm going to be alone later today, whatever it
Hmm.
might be. Yeah, and they have that initial like bam thought. If you turn it around and say, they're busy, you are worthy. You deserve, good friends, and they're busy. Got to look at it that way. Stop thinking the worst. They're not abandoning you. Will that eventually start changing your perception?
Yes, it will. But I would say that there's a more direct route to really plug into reversing trauma and developing healthy neural pathways. And that would be, of course, you have to notice it first. So, yes, first step. And then you have to make sure that you are realizing that it's a story you told yourself. See, children are full of stories that they tell themselves, and so are adults. And so you want to change the story, and the best way to do that is to say, I deserve. Because if you say, I'm important, they're not abandoning me, but yet the underlying feeling is that you're unimportant,
Mm,
it's not going to get through
yep.
a level that changes neural pathways. So,
Mm.
but if you say, I deserve to feel important and loved right now, that gets through.
It's almost as if you're not going to believe your own crap. You know what I'm saying? Unless you hit it up, something stronger. And the I deserve statement, powerful. We talked about that. You brought that up last time we got together. How that
Yeah.
is just that's a good one. I shared that one too.
Yeah, saying I deserve changes everything. And the things that are trying to come up. If you're not catching it in yourself, you're probably noticing it in other people.
Mm,
If if they're angry or sad or they have anxiety, or if you see that they're doing things that are undermining you or undermining themselves, these are all messages from their true nature, trying to get their attention to help them grow.
mm.
And it's happening all the time to each and every one of us. And it's kind of slipping through the radar, like nobody realizes that, oh, that's just your true nature trying to help you. Like, bless it. Okay. When the anger comes up, let's embrace it. We don't want to let it make us more angry. We don't want to let, we don't want to judge ourselves for being angry. We want to notice. Okay. That's an
Mm.
empowering moment. Notice, I'm angry right now. That's okay. I'm sad right now. That's okay. But don't let the sadness make you more sad. Like once I had a client whose primary addiction to suffering was shame. Did I ever tell you about this in a
Mm-mm.
previous episode? Okay, so she left my office and we had uncovered shame. She was in her mid 60s. She never knew it was there and it was everywhere. And she got home and she found that shame was she was bumping into it left and right, and it was very overwhelming for her. And in fact, she missed a phone call with me to check in the next day, and I couldn't get a hold of her. So finally, after 2 days passed, I texted her, "What in the world is going on? I can feel your shame from here." And that time she got right back to me and she said, it's everywhere. I had no idea. And what had happened is she let the noticing shame make her feel more ashamed. You can't over identify with these feelings. You just have to notice, neutrally observe. I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm ashamed, whatever.
And move
And
on. In relatively speaking.
yes, reaffirm your deservingness and
Mm.
work with yourself. I mean, yes, it's helpful to have someone. It's helpful to have
Sure,
some
sure.
counsel on this. Reiki is always good because it helps take these things out of your body. But yes, you can reprogram your thoughts by doing this. Do not judge yourself. Simply catch it, apologize to yourself for the negative thought, and then reaffirm what you
So
did.
two things come into mind real quick. Name it so you can tame it.
Yes,
So
love that.
give it a title, whatever that anger is. And I've always piloted, try to, the three filter when I send an email or a text. Some of them, not your typical business one, but the ones where it's could be a little dicey or you're expressing yourself. But I think it also applies to what you said before when that negative thought comes up. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? So if you have that thought, I feel shame. Like I popped in. Is it true? Goes back to what we've said before. No, it's not true. That was something that my insert name a parent made me believe back in the day. Is it
Mhm.
necessary to have that thought? No, it's not supporting me. And no, it's not kind.
Right. And my version of that is it beneficial? Same thing.
Right. Same thing.
No, it
Wow.
is not beneficial oftentimes.
Mm,
So, yeah. So we really need to be conscientious in the process. And then maybe next week we can talk about how we hold these little micro traumas in our bodies. They're in our
mm.
minds and our spirits, but they're in our bodies. And I have something that happened to me like 5 weeks ago that is crazy, and I will share it.
Looking forward. I'm not looking forward to you experiencing some pain and negativity, but understanding how our bodies store trauma, because it's my understanding that after a period of time, that causes us to be sick and get disease and on and
Yes.
on and on. So, and
Yes.
I've never said this, but tune in next week. Like
Yes.
this is like very important. Chris, how do we find you if somebody is looking for some help to pilot through all of this and some accountability? How do they find you?
Check out my website, chrisclearday.com. My phone number and email are on there, and I love texts and phone calls, and I will get around to emails.
Appreciate you being here today and thank you. And I really do mean this. Thank you for doing what you do because you make it understandable. This is woo, a little woo for some of us, but you make it understandable and it's not you just making it up. It's based on science and research.
Right. I mean, it's really not woo-woo, like you say. It's whoa-whoa.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
You
That's why
say,
that's
oh,
why
yeah.
I do what I do. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, it's the mystery. We uncover the mystery. Thank you again. We'll catch up next time.
Thank you, Steve. See you next week.
We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.